Doors open. We're live. Hi, we're back.
Getting settled while it's on. It's our specialty, it seems to be.
Yes.
Laura Dabney, Joelle Brandt, psychotherapist, relationship coach.
Hi.
Here talking to you about the problems we see every day.
Yeah.
And want to share with you. So maybe we can give you help across the airwaves as opposed to you coming in or picking up the phone. We'd rather you pick up the phone and come in.
Yes.
But some people are really afraid.
Yeah.
Right? We've noticed that a lot. So we're trying to ease your anxiety about coming in. And we've been talking about several things that have come to our attention, or we've gotten requests from certain people. And I was telling Joelle that I've had several requests now to talk about the topic, why do I keep picking the wrong partner? We laugh because that's a very
common concern, issue.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah. That people call about or come in about all the time. So we know that's a ubiquitous problem. And I don't know if there's really one answer, right? Probably multifold reasons.
Yes. Or it could be one reason for someone, another reason for another. But it usually kind of
comes down to a few tendencies,
yeah.
I think, or a combination of these tendencies that we've touched on before, but maybe we can talk about the combination, how it's like a lethal combination of tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about red flags, right? So there are people who have obvious problems with relationships or relating to people. And there are people who miss those red flags.
Yeah.
They don't want to see them for one reason or another. We usually talk about those red flags sort of, I've written a paper where I've listed 50 of them. So instead of doing that, they tend to fall into these categories. One being self-care.
Mm-hmm.
They're not able to care for themselves, and that could be can't hold a job, self-mutilates or self-harms, those kind of things.
Late, like always being late is one thing.
Right, chronically late.
Yeah. No, that you've mentioned.
Right, that often leads to, that will sometimes lead to not be able to care for themselves, right? Not be able to have a job or get through a degree or an education. Impulsivity, right? Lack of being able to control oneself.
Drinking too much, spending too much all the time type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone who can't rate. We're not talking about like once in a while. We're talking about somebody who chronic or habitually does this.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who does not follow the law, right? Someone who breaks the law, shows it's like cheating. This person isn't following the rules, does not think the rules of society apply to them.
Yeah.
So they're not going to follow the rules in a relationship, or societal rules either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's trouble. And then I have the last one, and I can't think of what it is. I think those are the main ones. Lack of empathy.
Oh, yes.
That's habitually being late too.
They don't care about, or they don't, your issues or your concerns, they don't matter. Right.
Don't take seriously. Right. So you can't work with somebody who, oh my gosh, my phone, Alexa's going off. Siri, they're not going to, if you have a problem, they're not going to take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people, they just can't do the give and take of a relationship, right? Their needs count more than yours.
They take.
Right. You can't give. Whereas the ideal relationship is a balance of both. So I guess that sort of leads us to why, again, it seems obvious to people who are a little bit healthier, but what happens with the people who can't see the red flags?
Yeah. So a lot of times that is, if they can't see those red flags, it boils down to critical judgment, being able to, on your own, realize, okay, this is not a good person for me. And that could be I've seen it two different times. Right. You have one where there's someone who, let's say, always picks someone that they feel like they have to save and take care of, or And they're like, why do I always pick these type of people?
Mhm.
And then you also have the people that are in, we were just talking about this, but abusive relationships. Sometimes you've noticed if somebody's been in one abusive relationship, you hear about them being in more than one. And that right there shows that their critical judgment, they're picking these people who probably have shown these red flags of some sort, but they choose not to see them.
Yes. So they choose not to see them, typically because of the critical judgment, as Joelle was saying. So when these people see the red flag, what they do is they talk themselves out of it because of guilt. So picking the wrong mate often involves excessive or inappropriate guilt. Okay, so that person can't chronically hold a job. Well, who am I to talk? It's something like this goes on in their heads. Well, who am I, to say I can't pick you because you can't hold a job? When I've had a couple of jobs in my life, they do this talking themselves out of it, or
they try to justify it in their own heads.
Yes, they justify it's another way of dealing with the excessive guilt. They feel it's mean, the whole don't judge a book by its cover. Listen, people, you want to judge people by their cover
or by your gut instinct, really.
Right.
You have to trust. I think that's one thing that people don't realize. It's like, you know what? You have to trust your instincts. Your instincts usually are on point.
Right.
They're telling you something for a reason.
Yeah, there's a flag waving there, people. This is why I always admonish my
red flag.
Right, exactly. So this is why I always caution my parents in session to not tell their kids, oh, play with so-and-so. It doesn't matter if you think there's something weird about them. We want to caution our children not to say that out loud to the person, but we do want them to start listening to what they think or feel are red flags for just this reason. And this is all, you brought up the statistics about people coming back to these same type of people, but the statistics bear this out. 50% of relationships, marriages end in divorce, right? A lot of us know that. Do you know what the percentage is of second marriages?
75?
75. And the third marriages? 85.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm not sure on that one.
Well, 82. I've seen 82.
So
85.
it just obviously keeps going up.
Because a lot of people will get divorced like, well, it's their fault. But it's your part. You are playing a role, right? Because you're picking the wrong person. So that excessive guilt plays out with the talking yourself out of it, justifying the behavior, and as you mentioned, the turning it around to its opposite, right? Not that I have to get away from the person, but I have to
help them, stay with them,
save them, fix them, right?
Yeah.
And that whatever that fairy tale ending is in your mind never happens. Does it ever happen? Never happens. No. Right. People who have red flags, it would take us, how long? Several times a week for many, many years to straighten that person out.
Yes.
Red flag behavior is called red flag for a reason.
Yeah.
It's dangerous and they are not easily fixed, treated, dealt with.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a very important distinction. Now, I get asked this a lot, so I'm going to go here. But people make mistakes, Dr. Are you saying anybody who makes a mistake is a red flag person? And the answer is no. So how do you distinguish if the person has made a terrible error in judgment or is a red flag person? I've made this up, so I don't know, but I call it a pink flag. It's really not a red flag until you've tested it. Okay, because look at the difference. If the person is late, let's say, that's a good example, or late for your first date, late for your second date, if you gave them a second date, and you say, okay, the person's red flag, and off you go. But if you say, hey, you've been late a couple times, it's kind of bothersome to me. Is there something going on? And that person says,
I'm sorry, I didn't realize, yes, this is what happened, but is empathetic or just really like, I'm sorry,
then it's not a red flag.
Correct.
Because they have empathy.
If they say it was only 10 minutes, that's a red flag.
It's only 10 minutes, or it's because you picked this place, blaming you.
Yeah. Red flag.
Or what's your problem? You need to learn to calm down, not be so uptight about time. Right?
Red flag.
Yeah. So it's really a pink flag until you test it.
True.
And then their answer will tell you all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And people I need to give them at least a few months. No, there's nothing written down about time here, people. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing saying you have to give anybody X amount of time. If someone's rude or inappropriate on the first date, off you go. I've taught people this, and they've put the money down and said, "Thank you very much for the drink. It was nice chatting with you, but this isn't going to work out." And they leave before the dinner comes.
There you go.
Because they don't want to be mistreated. And it's if you want to be mistreated, if you're allowing yourself to be mistreated, that's a therapy issue right there, or a coaching issue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the boundaries. I mean, that's another, we didn't even get to that, but that's definitely another thing when it comes to picking the wrong person, or, not finding that right person. Why am I always, it's also can be not just critical judgment, but your boundary setting.
Right.
If you have trouble setting your own boundaries, like Dr. Dabney said, you feel like, oh, I need to give this person a chance, or I need to allow this. You don't need to allow it.
Right. And shouldn't, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's not healthy when you do that. And you're just setting yourself up.
Yeah. And
them. I mean, think about how unfair it is to that person if you're sensing or know in your head this isn't going to work out, and yet you still go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use your empathy, use it in that way, not in the I'm going to cave and try to help this person or tolerate this behavior, be the better person. It's not a better person to allow bad behavior to continue.
True.
Okay. It's all fantasy we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so dump the red flag person. Well, test it first and then dump the red flag person. Do yourself a favor.
See if check out the pink flags.
Yes.
First.
Don't be a statistic.
Yes, please don't.
Please pass this on for those people who they keep picking the wrong person, because sometimes they don't realize it, and you just letting them know, I think this is a red flag person, and sending our video might do the trick. Who knows?
Share it, let us know, and keep writing in, because this is how we got this question.
Yeah.
So anytime you have a question, send us a message and we can answer it. All right. See you soon.
Barring any future hurricanes.
Oh dear.
That put us way behind.
I know. All right. See ya.
Bye.